The rain fell relentlessly, tapping on the windows like ghostly fingers seeking entrance. Sarah huddled in the dimly lit living room of her ancestral home, a creaky mansion that seemed to breathe with its own dark secrets. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the faded wallpaper, making the portraits of long-dead relatives appear to stare into her soul. Alone in the vast house, Sarah felt a shiver crawl down her spine. The storm outside intensified, echoing through the empty halls like the anguished cries of lost souls. The house, with its twisted corridors and hidden rooms, seemed to have a life of its own. As Sarah sat by the fireplace, the flames danced and crackled, but their warmth couldn't dispel the chill that clung to the air. A distant thunderclap made her jump, and the old grandfather clock in the hallway struck midnight, its solemn chimes reverberating through the silence. She tried to distract herself with a book, but the words blurred on the pages as her mind wandered to the unsettling sounds around her. Footsteps echoed in the hallway, slow and deliberate, as if someone or something prowled the abandoned rooms. She dismissed it as her imagination, a byproduct of the ominous atmosphere. The rain beat against the windows like a spectral symphony, each drop playing a haunting note. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the house itself was alive, whispering forgotten tales and memories into the void. The walls seemed to breathe, exhaling secrets that had been buried for generations. Unable to resist the lure of the mysteries within, Sarah decided to explore the mansion. The flickering candle in her hand cast long shadows that seemed to dance with the rhythm of her pounding heart. As she ventured deeper into the house, the floorboards groaned underfoot, echoing her solitary journey. The portraits on the walls followed her with vacant eyes, their expressions frozen in time. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she passed a particularly eerie painting of a gaunt figure cloaked in darkness. She could swear the eyes moved, watching her every step. A sudden gust of wind slammed a door shut, making her jump. The sound echoed through the house, and an unsettling silence followed. The oppressive atmosphere closed in on Sarah, the weight of the past pressing against her shoulders. In the dim light, she stumbled upon a door she had never noticed before. It beckoned to her like a portal to another realm. With trepidation, she turned the handle, revealing a staircase that descended into the abyss below. The air grew colder as she descended, the steps creaking beneath her weight. The basement, damp and musty, harbored secrets that sent shivers down her spine. Ancient books, covered in dust, lined crooked shelves. In the center of the room, a weathered Ouija board rested on a creaky table. The planchette seemed to move on its own, spelling out cryptic messages. As Sarah recoiled in horror, the temperature dropped further, and the flickering candle went out. Darkness enveloped her, and the oppressive presence in the room became tangible. Whispers echoed in her ears, and unseen hands brushed against her skin. Panicking, she rushed back up the staircase, the oppressive darkness pursuing her like a malevolent force. The rain outside had ceased, leaving an eerie stillness in its wake. Sarah stumbled back into the living room, gasping for breath. The portraits on the walls seemed to mock her, their twisted smiles revealing a hidden malevolence. The storm had passed, but the haunted house retained its supernatural aura. Alone and surrounded by the echoes of the past, Sarah realized that some secrets were better left undisturbed. The mansion held a darkness that clung to her soul, and as she trembled in the silence, she couldn't escape the feeling that the house itself was alive, with a malevolent consciousness that watched and waited for the next unsuspecting soul to cross its threshold. The quaint coastal town of Hollow Harbor seemed like the perfect destination for Alex and his friends to unwind. Their vacation rental, an old Victorian apartment building, stood proudly against the backdrop of crashing waves and ominous cliffs. Little did they know that the charming exterior hid a history steeped in darkness. Upon arrival, the air was thick with a salty mist, and the distant cries of seagulls added an eerie undertone to the surroundings. The caretaker, a weathered man with hollow eyes, handed over the keys with a warning that seemed to linger in the damp sea breeze. "Mind the shadows," he muttered, his gaze fixed on the foreboding structure. The first night was uneventful. Laughter echoed through the spacious apartment as the friends shared stories and toasted to their getaway. However, as the clock struck midnight, an unsettling hush settled over the building. Shadows seemed to dance in the corners of the rooms, and the air turned frigid, sending shivers down their spines. The following day, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that the walls held secrets. Despite the radiant sunlight streaming through the windows, an oppressive weight clung to the air. The group decided to explore the town, hoping to shake off the unsettling aura that had settled over them. Upon their return, they found subtle signs of disturbance. Chairs moved, doors ajar. Unease crept into their laughter, and hushed whispers echoed in the hallways, though no one could pinpoint the source. Alex dismissed the strange occurrences as figments of their imagination, attributing them to fatigue and the old building's creaky nature. As night fell, the apartment came alive with creaks and groans, as if the building itself were exhaling a dark secret. Alex's friends, now visibly on edge, joked nervously about ghosts and haunted tales. But their laughter turned to hushed silence when they heard footsteps echoing through the empty corridors, footsteps that didn't belong to any of them. Doubt and fear gnawed at the edges of their minds. Alex, determined to maintain composure, suggested a game to lighten the mood. They gathered in the living room, attempting to distract themselves from the growing tension. The planchette on the Ouija board spelled out cryptic messages, seemingly influenced by an unseen force. A cold breeze swept through the room, extinguishing candles and casting the apartment into darkness. Panic set in as the group fumbled for flashlights, their shadows dancing wildly on the walls. In the dim light, they glimpsed fleeting apparitions, ghostly figures that flickered in and out of existence. Whispers, indistinct yet unsettling, reverberated through the apartment. Alex's attempts to rationalize the experiences fell on deaf ears as his friends were consumed by a growing sense of dread. Sleep became elusive as the nights unfolded. Each member of the group was haunted by vivid nightmares, visions of faces contorted in agony and voices that begged for release. As the psychological toll mounted, trust among friends waned and paranoia set in. One by one, they began to see the apartment's history unfold in disturbing visions, a tragic love affair, a long-forgotten betrayal, and a series of deaths that stained the building's past. The boundary between reality and the supernatural blurred, and the friends found themselves trapped in a waking nightmare. As the final night approached, the apartment seemed to pulsate with malevolent energy. Alex, desperate for answers, delved into the town's archives and uncovered a dark tale of betrayal and revenge that had plagued the building for centuries. The spirits sought justice, and the friends unwittingly became conduits for their unresolved anguish. The night reached its climax as the apparitions manifested with an otherworldly intensity. The friends, now united by terror, faced the harrowing truth. They were not alone in the apartment. The vengeful spirits sought closure, and the living became entangled in a macabre dance with the dead. In the pre-dawn hours, as the first light crept over Hollow Harbor, the friends fled the haunted apartment, forever marked by the psychological scars of a vacation that transcended the boundaries between the living and the dead. The building stood silent, its secrets hidden once more, waiting for the next unsuspecting souls to cross its threshold. In the sleepy hamlet of Ashwood, nestled between fog-laden hills, there stood a dilapidated mansion, known to locals as the Whispering House. Legends whispered of its haunted halls, where the line between the living and the dead blurred. It was in this eerie setting that Sarah, a young writer seeking inspiration, decided to spend a week unaware of the chilling experiences awaiting her. On her first night, as the clock struck midnight, a faint knocking echoed through the empty corridors. Sarah, initially dismissing it as the wind, soon realized the sound was rhythmic, persistent. With trepidation, she descended the grand staircase, each step creaking under the weight of untold secrets. The knocking grew louder, more insistent, as if the very house was urging her to open the door. As she reached for the knob, the air turned icy. The door creaked open to reveal a dense fog, but no one was there. Confused and unnerved, Sarah quickly shut the door. However, the knocking resumed, now from a different direction. It seemed to be coming from inside the house. Over the next few days, Sarah experienced strange phenomena. Portrait's eyes seemed to follow her, whispers filled the air, and she would often find objects moved from their original places. The house, it seemed, was alive, breathing a sinister life of its own. The nightly knocking became a terrifying ritual. Each time Sarah answered, she found nothing but the chilling embrace of the fog. Her sleep became plagued with nightmares, where faceless figures beckoned her into the abyss of the house's hidden secrets. On the fourth night, Sarah discovered a hidden room behind a bookshelf. Inside, she found diaries dating back centuries, filled with accounts of the previous inhabitants, each ending abruptly, filled with scribbles of madness and despair. The house, it appeared, had a way of seeping into the minds of those who dared to dwell within its walls. That night, the knocking was louder, more urgent. Sarah, driven by a mixture of fear and curiosity, decided to confront whatever lurked beyond the door. As the clock struck 12, she flung the door open, stepping into the fog. What she found was beyond comprehension. The fog cleared to reveal figures, each an inhabitant of the house from different eras, their eyes empty, their expressions tortured. They reached out to her, their whispers becoming a cacophony of anguished cries. Sarah, paralyzed with fear, realized the house was not haunted by the dead, but by the souls it had consumed, trapped in eternal torment. As the figures closed in, Sarah felt the house probing into her mind, threatening to engulf her very being. In a moment of lucidity, she understood that the only escape was to break the cycle. Mustering all her courage, she ran back into the house, the figures disappearing into the mist. She spent the rest of the night frantically writing her experiences, her words a testament to the horrors of the Whispering House. As dawn broke, Sarah left the mansion, her mind teetering on the brink of madness. The house stood silent once more, its appetite momentarily sated. But in Ashwood, the legends never die, and the Whispering House waits, its doors ready to welcome the next unwary soul.